On the Golf Podcast today, we are going to help you to satellite into the DraftKings Millionaire Maker event. Hey everybody, and welcome to dailyfantasylobby.com's golf preview. Now, for the next couple of weeks, David and I are going to be helping you to qualify for the PGA $2.2 million Millionaire Maker on DraftKings.com, and that event covers the Masters, which is in a couple of weeks. But firstly, for part one, we are going to be concentrating on helping you to satellite into the event. David and I are going to be talking strategy. I'm going to talk satellite strategy. David, being the resident golf expert and the CEO of dailyfantasylobby.com, will be talking about his picks for the event. So first of all, hi David, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Christy.
And I'm gonna help you with the strategy. So if we pull up DraftKings and we're looking at the lobby here, you can see that we've got a super satellite, the second event in the lobby list. There are 2,759 seats available, just under half of which have currently been claimed. And notice it's $5 entry fee as opposed to the $20 entry fee in the Millionaire Maker event. Now the difference is significant. Basically, long story short, that means for every 4 entrants in the super satellite, we're going to see one person get a seat in the main event, the Millionaire Maker event for Masters Week. So you're going to have to best 3/4 of the field in order to qualify for the big show. So this super satellite is going to incorporate the Valero Texas Open in San Antonio, Texas. Now, David in a moment is going to be talking about what this event really requires from its golfers. It's a particularly popular and significant event, and David's going to help us with our selection strategy. But first of all, I just want to help you with your satellite strategy. Now, it's super important that you recognize and appreciate you don't need to win this event. There's going to be 2,759 runners. You don't need to finish first. You don't even need to finish 10th. It doesn't matter if you finish first or 599th. The prize is exactly the same. So it's a completely flat payout structure, as opposed to the main event. The main event where you've got $1 million up top, and then second place is $100,000. So there's a massive drop-off between first and second. Here, there is absolutely no drop-off at all in the satellite. First place pays exactly the same as 600th place. To put that into context, as I mentioned, for every $5, for every $20 in the prize pool, in other words, for every 4 people that pony up their $5 entrance fee, we're going to see 1 ticket awarded. So we're looking for steady eddies. We're not looking to smash the course record. In fact, we're not even remotely concerned about necessarily picking the massive scorers. All we need to do is ensure everyone in our team is pulling their weight. All we have to do is outlast 3/4 of the field. And so now I'm going to turn it over to David, who is going to select the players who are hopefully going to help us to do that.
Okay, thanks, Christy. Why don't I talk about the course itself just briefly?
Sure, go for it.
Okay, we're looking at the Greg Norman designed TPC in San Antonio. This will be the 5th year that the event's actually been here. It's a hard course. It's normally a windy course. It's long. There's deep rough. There's trees. Definitely a focus on long straight driving. And if you're not going to hit the fairways, then you need to have exceptional short game. I think what we'll probably see here is me looking at a lot of guys that I consider to have solid swings rather than the maverick types. The previous winners are, Adam Scott, Martin Laird, Brendan Steele, and Stephen Bowditch. Certainly Scott and Laird were, considered Scott's probably considered the best driver of the golf ball in the game, perhaps along with Sergio Garcia, though not the Garcia of recent weeks, but the traditional Garcia. Uh, so
Everyone has a blip.
absolutely. I remember watching this course on TV several times, and the wind really does blow. Some of the greens they don't face directly the player. It's just coming in from the fairway. They can be at slight angles, so I think you're looking at someone that can shape the ball in right to left and left to right. Someone that's really in complete control of the golf ball.
So it's quite an unforgiving course traditionally.
I think so. Greg Norman himself, as a player, was a renowned long straight driver of the golf ball, but actually an exceptional chipper and pitcher of the ball. So it's a little bit in his shadow, in his style.
Okay, so Norman's kind of designed the course in his own image. That takes some ego. That.
Yeah. Well, even worse. He designed it actually with Garcia, who at the time was going out with Greg Norman's daughter. But it seems to be airbrushed a little bit from history that Garcia was a co-designer. I think since that relationship ended, it's now the Greg Norman design course rather than the Greg Norman and ex-son-in-law design course.
Love it. So David, you've mentioned players who have won this before, and you mentioned that Martin Laird has taken it down. That's interesting because he was actually one of my picks. I don't know if that's a Scottish bias or whether I'm because I'm no golf expert. You're our golf guy, but what do you think about someone like Martin Laird this week?
Martin grew up playing golf in my home city of Glasgow. He actually is a golfer who is Scottish, but doesn't really play in a Scottish style.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
He's a high ball hitter.
All right.
You would find that the top amateurs who played in the amateur scene over in the UK, all the top amateur events are historically played on links golf courses, and it would suit someone with a lower, more penetrating ball flight. What Martin Laird does is he absolutely rips the ball. So okay, the ball's going high, but it's not going high and spinning around and being affected by the wind. It's just a long bomb that goes high in the air. I think he went to the University of Colorado, so you can imagine in that thin air up there, he would have been hitting it 350 off the tee quite comfortably. I like Martin Laird a lot. He's coming into some form again. I think you need to be with him when he's coming into form. I'm not quite sure why he's motivated or if there's any particular reason behind that, but happy to have him on side.
I love it. And if you can see up on screen here, I've actually got his recent PGA Tour results. He's looking all right. His form's good. Couple of top tens already this year. Pretty impressive. And as we mentioned, with satellite strategy, you don't need to be winning the thing. You don't need to be picking guys that are going to be boom or bust. All you need is guys that are going to finish kind of top 10 or so, even top 20. Basically, guys who are going to make the cut and be consistently totting up points for you. All right, David, who else have you got in your stable this week?
How long have you got? I've got half the field picked out, as you do. Let's go with the most obvious ones first. Jim Furyk, Zach Johnson. They're the same person. I'm just going to talk about them both at the same time. They're guys who don't hit it that far, who hit it straight. The class using from their pores. They've both done very well in Texas before. They've both done well in this tournament before. Registered top tens. Sure. You're paying a price for them. They're 11. Furyk's 11,000 and Zach's 10,100. So
but big money there.
I would certainly look at putting one of them in your team, and then again you're looking at do you know what, Matt Kuchar, he's exactly the same. So there's a guy who's just going to hit fairways. He likes Texas. He's done well.
And at only 10,300, bear in mind Kuchar, if you can see this on screen, has an 82.8 PPG. Very impressive. If you can get a guy shooting as well as that for a price as relatively speaking low as that, it's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing is, you can't have them all, can you? I think let's talk about who I'd maybe want to fade from that list. This could come back and haunt me. I'm just not with Jordan Spieth.
No, not feeling it. 14k, that's big money.
Not this week and not at that price. I've just got to go past him a little bit. And the same with Dustin Johnson. Either of these guys could win the tournament. We don't need them to win the tournament. They could win the tournament. Do they really care that much about the Texas Valero Open, the US Masters in 2 weeks' time? I'd imagine they've probably been at Augusta this week. They're maybe have some sponsorship obligation to be here. Dustin's maybe likes to fling himself back into some more form before the game starts in a couple of weeks' time at Augusta. I'd rather be with Kira Desh, Afi Barnra at 6,700, where look at his average point per game, he's up at 113.5. Okay, that's bearing in mind that he's only had a small number of appearances, so it's maybe slightly skewed. But Kira Desh, a great player. I've watched a lot of European Tour golf over the years. He bombs it. Yeah, it's an absolute country mile. He is a big unit, this lad, and he's a lovely touch for a big guy.
No, I'm very familiar with Afi Barnrat purely because you've lost me some serious money by betting on this guy over the years. You're a big fan, and
At 250
and I
to
tell
1,
you,
you can afford to have a couple of losers now and again.
I love it. He seems like he's your go-to long shot guy.
I like him.
And at that price, at 6,700, look at that PPG, 113.5. Obviously, that's skewed somewhat by one or two, elite finishes can really rocket that up. But it is incredible that the guy that's at the top of the PPG list, if you can see this on the screen at the moment, is actually, as low as it gets salary-wise, pretty much on this first page.
Yeah.
You can offset your Afi Barnrat, because he's so cheap, with a Jim Furyk. You'd be hoping that between the two of them, they'll be sort of carrying you to victory almost, because you can get the two of them combined for under 18,000.
Yeah, not much more than a Jordan Spieth, right?
Exactly.
But the thing is, obviously, we know the DraftKings rules are there's a bit of skew in terms of making the cut, so we really are looking for 6 guys that are going to make the cut here.
Absolutely.
And you could put an asterisk next to Afi Barnrat on that.
Okay, who else have we got in our list?
Guys I like, I always tend to go for guys that I think are quality performers and that have maybe been going through some rough times, and we're now starting to see them emerge again. So for that point of view, I love Sean O'Hare.
Okay.
The guy's had some times over the last couple of years, but he has a very solid swing. He's a very able golfer. He's proven on tough courses. He's 8,100. I like Shane Lowry. This guy won the Irish Open as an amateur. I remember watching it in horrendous conditions. Driving rain, 30-mile-an-hour winds, extremely tough golf course, links golf course. And at 7,800, look, if the wind blows this guy, he's going to love it more and more. And he has an exceptional short game. His chipping is second to none. A close friend of mine played against him in the Amateur Home Internationals a number of years ago, and a friend of mine had a particularly sharp short game, and he said he couldn't believe it. He said, we're talking, Tiger Woods stuff here. Oh, not the recent Tiger Woods.
I don't know if that's a compliment or not.
Let's hope he's not got Tiger Woods' current short game, but I'm with Shane Lowry. I'm definitely with Shane Lowry this week. Other guys you look at that are solid tee to green, great swing. Francesco Molinari, he's never the kind of guy that seems to win. Even in Europe, never really particularly seems to win, but
he doesn't need to be, does he? Because we're looking at a satellite here. We're looking at just some solid point scorers.
Correct. He doesn't need to, and he's going to hit fairways and greens all day long. So 6 to 900. I mean, some guys that you're going to hear. If you went and read, a dozen previews. I think probably everyone's going to mention Charlie Hoffman. He's got a great record here. He's been playing not so great recently. Is he going to just pop up and have a top 10? You know what? He might.
I mean, it's a big price for someone who's not looking too impressive PPG-wise.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a complete gamble. The guy seems to have lost a bit of his game, but golf's a bit like that. You'll have guys that would just turn up at courses. They love it. The course just suits their eye. The holes might be shaped in the way that they like to maneuver the ball for whatever reason. So let's mention him, but I'm not loving him.
Do you think maybe just on the topic of Charlie Hoffman, do you think that there's maybe an element of kind of social proof with these previews where one site will come out with Charlie Hoffman, I really like him this week, and then other people sort of tail along on the back of that, and suddenly everyone's tipping him, and that can drive the price up? Because a lot of the time I tend to find, certainly being a soccer guy myself, you'll hear some pundit, some quote-unquote expert coming up with a theory, and suddenly everyone's piggybacking it, almost like they don't want to be left behind in case it does come in. Or maybe it's just laziness. Maybe it's just.
Yeah, I suppose it's the same reason I just mentioned him in my preview. Look, I don't rate the guy at all. I don't want to be with him. I'm just mentioning that everyone else has mentioned him, so that when he does win, I can say I also mentioned him. But what I do
social
think,
proof. It doesn't matter if 1,000 people say it. If it's wrong, it's still wrong.
One of the things I like to say over here is can't polish a turd.
Yes, so true.
And he is what he is. Poor Charlie. I'm not suggesting that he is the turd, but he may be the turd this week.
At that price, he's going to have a lot more polish than turd about him, because that is.
You're spot on. And can we segue from turd into Charles Howell the Turd? Charles Howell the Third.
Okay, that was tenuous at best.
Oh yeah, a little bit.
Your Irish accent needs some work.
I know. Here's a guy that's definitely a good player. He loves the win. He's got good record and everything else. Maybe he's a guy, at 8,000 who's maybe worth a dabble. I don't know. I'm not loving him, but he's maybe in there somewhere.
I'm gonna stick him orange as well. You're not necessarily putting him in your elite team, but you're keeping an eye on him.
Yeah, we're sticking him. He's in the round. I'll tell you a guy who I do like. Here's a guy that I do like. I like Camilo Vieja.
Okay. Impressive accent.
It might be Camilo Villegas at 6,700. Likes a hard course, and I remember watching him. As you know, Christy, I was a member for a number of years down at Turnberry Golf Club on the Ayrshire coast, and I remember sitting in the grandstand watching Camille playing with Tom Watson, and I was looking at his ball flight on a very tough hole, and he hit a low frozen rope, and I thought, there's a guy who knows what he's doing. And he impressed me that week. And I follow his form, and he's a kind of up and down sort of guy. But when he's hot, he's really hot. And I like him again this year. I think Camille's a guy. I think he'll probably finish in the top 50 in the Order of Merit again this year, which will be a nice improved performance from recent years. As you know, he's done very well in the FedEx Cup events. In the early years of the FedEx Cup. So Camille at 6,700. I'd rather probably be with him at 6,700 than I would be with Charlie Hoffman at 8,300. I was hoping that some of these previews might help our US based and international based guests with I can help provide them with a little bit of local knowledge of some of the Scottish and international golfers that I've sometimes played with or seen play, and have a bit of an indication about their true ability levels. Now, Mark Warren is another guy that he played at East Kilbride Golf Course, which is in the same town as our office. Daily Fantasy.
He's a brave man.
He is a brave man. It's a tough town. Daily Fantasy Lobby HQs are also in East Kilbride, and even the dogs have bodyguards around here. But, Mark is an exceptional golfer of pedigree. He played in the Walker Cup. He did very well. He won the English Amateur around a tough course. He has always performed at his best on tough golf courses. Now that is definitely interesting. He almost won the Scottish Open at Castle Stewart in a hurricane final round. Was very unlucky with that. He got into a playoff round the PGA course at Wentworth. Very tough course, very tight driving course. There's a lot to like. Mark has made a special effort to go over to Texas this week because he currently sits 52nd in the Order of Merit, in the world rankings, and as we know, the top 50 are shortly to receive invitations to Augusta.
So he really needs those points.
There is a man with a most definite purpose, and the Tiger with this guy, he has got one of the best swings, I think, in world golf. And not just my opinion, that would be the opinion of many a fine judge.
Absolutely.
I love him at 6,500. He is there to compete.
That's a steal, isn't it? What a price.
He might just be a very low-owned springer in the market this week. So, yeah, there's my man.
So you're hanging your hat on Mark Warren.
Yeah, I think at 6,500, there's a guy that's going to make the cut, and he can do. He may well do a little bit better than that. Look at his finishes this year. 17th in Cadillac World Golf Championship.
I can actually bring them up on the
Ninth
screen,
in
I
Malaysia in a
think.
tough field. 13th in Dubai at the Desert Classic, which is I mean, that's World Golf Championship strong, that field. And a second in Qatar in the wind on a very tough golf course.
Yeah, I certainly can't contradict that. I mean, it certainly looks like at the price we're discussing here, it looks like an absolute steal. So we're going with, well, I'm not necessarily suggesting that this is your team, but we have highlighted some good value picks: Francesco Molinari, Shane Lowry, Sean O'Hare, Mark Warren, Kira Deshafi Barnrat. Certainly, Martin Laird looks nicely priced at 9,100 as well, another Scot. So plenty of value here this week, I'd say.
Plenty of value, because I think, if you can, I'd love to try and get Furyk. I'd love to try and get Sure, I'd love to try and get Zach Johnson all into my team. And if you can get them all in the team and then you can pad them out with guys like Mark Warren, then I think you're building a very strong lineup there.
So we've got an awful lot of good value, sort of, where, as I mentioned earlier, we don't necessarily need to win this thing. We're just looking for people that are going to make cuts, that are going to hit decent kind of under par scoring, and are hopefully going to help you to satellite into the main event, into the PGA 2.2 million millionaire maker on DraftKings.com. Now just think about that. If you can take a second to just imagine how sweet it would be to take down that 1 mega up top for the first place finisher. David and I, we're giving you these tips for free, but if you want to, when you win your million, just give us a wee shout out on Twitter, and we'll call in amongst that. All right, we're going to wrap up the video now. Next week, come back and we will do a similar video for the subsequent satellite event, and then of course we'll have the big guns in a couple of weeks for the main event at Augusta. David, thank you very much for your time and attention and expertise.
Thank you, Christy.
Be sure to check out dailyfantasylobby.com. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at SuperLobby. I'm at Casey151, CASY151. David is at SFL Punter. And as always, it's an absolute pleasure. Take care and good luck.